Come on, Grandpa.
Good morning. Today is Tuesday, May 4th, 2021, and this is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Kings County Board of Supervisors. Due to issues arising from COVID-19, the board is using a teleconferencing format for today's meeting, and we are all participating via the World Wide Web. If you'd like to make a public comment today, please make sure you are identified by name in the WebEx system. For those interested in commenting during unscheduled appearances, please use the raise your hand feature and wait to be recognized. Each speaker will be allowed for up to 2 minutes for public comment. Each vote today will be a verbal or voice vote so that members of the public can hear how each board member has voted. After we have had a motion and a second regarding each item we are taking up today, we will be doing a roll call vote by district. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Here.
Richard Valley,
Here.
Doug Verboon,
Here.
Craig Peterson,
Here.
Richard Fagundes.
Here.
All righty, we have 5 here and present. We'll move to the invocation from Pastor Brian Kleinhammer, Kingdom Culture 2.0.
Good morning, children of God. Let us bow our heads. Father God, send your Holy Spirit to everybody who's listening, whether it's their homes or their offices or wherever they are, and bring the spirit of love for their community. Father God, we need you now more than ever with the big plans that we have and the directions we want to go in this crucial turning point, not just for us, but for essentially everywhere we are, Father God. So, Father, we ask that you use this love for our community to willingly cooperate with the prosperity that you are longing to bring us through the wisdom you are giving our elected officials and through the proceedings that are going to be held today. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please join me in the flag salute. Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. All right, this time we'll move to item 2, which is unscheduled appearances. Any person may directly address the board at this time on any item on the agenda or any other items of interest that to the public that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. 2 minutes are allowed for each item. And I know we do have a comment by Christine Dowd.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Well, thank you. Hopefully you can also see I provided a slide deck to your clerk. Hopefully you're able to display that on the screen as well. Are you able to see that?
Sure, if we can, but please go ahead.
Okay. Well, good morning. I'd like to just briefly share with the board and the community an update on PG&E's Community Wildfire Safety Program. We are, of course, working to do everything we can to reduce the threat of wildfire in Kings County and across our system and our state. And also wanted to share just an update on our public safety power shutoff program as well. At PG&E, it is the most important responsibility of our company to keep our customers and our communities safe. And unfortunately, over the past several years, there's been an increase in wildfire risk. And the wildfire season has actually lasted much longer than it used to. Along with, so the state has actually come up with a fire threat map of California. And that was really developed by our regulator, the California Public Utilities Commission, in coordination with CAL FIRE and the U.S. Forest Service. And it's based on input also from the electric utilities and the communications infrastructure to ensure that everyone is aware of the areas that are at the highest risk. You'll be happy to know that Kings County does not include any of the high fire threat areas. And so that is really good news for your community and for the customers who we serve in your area. As we work to harden our system and make it safer, we are doing many things to prepare for the wildfire season, including vegetation management near our power lines, building a safer and more reliable system to harden the lines and put in sectionalizing devices to help reduce the size and the impact of the public safety power shutoff events. Which, just as a reminder, what the public safety power shutoff program is really a last resort and unfortunately a necessary tool to keep customers safe during the wildfire season. And really what happens is if there are particular conditions such as high winds, also particular fuel levels and other weather conditions, it's all driven by the weather. We then unfortunately need to proactively turn off the power in, again, high wildfire threat areas where there could be risk of wildfire and our infrastructure being involved in an ignition. And so as you may recall, this program I've come to the board in the past, and also my colleague Charlotte Jordan has worked closely with your OES manager, Amanda. And thankfully, we have not had any PSPS events or public safety power shutoff events in Kings County. So you have not been impacted by this program. And really, again, I believe that is because you're not in a high wildfire threat area. But we still want to come to you and share these updates just to make sure that you know that PG&E is continuing to work not only in Kings County, but throughout our service territories to keep our customers safe, to continue to improve and listen to our communities and our customers that we serve to improve this system and ensure that, again, we're keeping everyone safe, but we're also doing what we need to do to create a reliable and safe system. This year, some of the new things to this program, in addition to ensuring that customers are aware of what's going on by providing their contact information. So if a customer prefers a text message, a phone call, or an email, they need to just provide that information to PG&E. In addition to that, this year, if say you live in Kings County, but maybe you have a relative or someone that you're concerned about that does live in a high wildfire threat area, you can actually input that address into the system and receive notifications should someone that you care about, is in an area that could be impacted by the public safety power shutoff program. And then just as a reminder, in addition to this program, there are other types of outages, electric outages that are maybe either planned or unplanned for various safety reasons. Sometimes we have emergency outages that are due to weather or lightning strikes. I know that happened last year, and I think Kings County was impacted by a few of those. Sometimes we also have to do planned maintenance or enhancement to our infrastructure. And then also one of the new things that happened last year was the California Independent System Operator, also known as CAISO, determined that there was not enough energy to supply the customer demand. And we had rotating outages throughout the state of California. And that really was due to the extreme heat events and the lack of supply. And then sometimes also active wildfires can be a cause of an outage. Wanted to just be sure
Ms.
that
Dowd, I'm going to need you to end your comments at that point. And
okay.
Thank you for the information. And, obviously you can visit pge.com/wildfire safety to access all the information and anything you might need with respect to fires in California. And the great thing about our community is we have the best manicured forest on the face of the earth here on the valley floor. Thank you for your comments today. We'll move to DA Keith Fagundes.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I just want to take a couple minutes to thank you for your consideration on our Family Justice Center a few weeks ago. And although other worthwhile projects are being lobbied in Washington right now, we still are not stopping our efforts. As I know, County Admin Rebecca Campbell has been involved to support the project. And I just wanted to also bring your attention to the fact that our operation is open for any tours to any of you all or anyone else who needs to see it, in order to underscore the need and the benefits that can come from a Family Justice Center. So we've been blessed. CAO Rebecca Campbell took time out of her day to come and tour the facility recently. We had Congressman Valadeo, we had Assembly Member Rudy Salas, and Senator Hurtado have all been here. And so far, we're all in constant communication. There's a great need for a Family Justice Center, and we are a little bit behind the curve. But I know that if we keep working together, that we will all eventually come to the right conclusion for the service of victims and families of defendants and victims and everybody involved in the system. So I just wanted to extend that invitation, and I'm available anytime for anybody who wants to come and view our operation, and I can explain further and underscore the need for a Family Justice Center now. But thank you for your time. I'll end my comments unless you have any questions.
Thank you. Okay, further public comment.
If I could add one thing for public comment. On Friday, I attended a funeral of late Fire Chief Steve Driver. Steve was fire chief here in Kings County. I believe he ended the retirement in 1993. He was a fire chief's chief. He led by example. He was admired by our staff we have today. And I want to give a shout out to Scott Howell. Scott Howell also put on the services. He was a retired Navy veteran, and Scott did a really good job under the circumstances he was put under. Came in last minute, handled it. We had a 21 gun salute. We had the trumpet playing, and very well put on service by Scott Howell. And Chief Bill Lynch had his crew there and did the ceremonies as well, the flag folding along with the Navy's honor guard. And it was a good service for our past fire chiefs. So I want to shout out to both Scott and Fire Chief Bill Lynch. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no further unscheduled appearances, we'll move to item 3, which is approval of the minutes from the April 27th, 2021 regular meeting. And Supervisor Valley, you had asked for a special treatment of an item on the with respect to the approval of the regular meeting minutes.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Thanks for giving me your time yesterday. I didn't want to catch you off guard this morning. I learned from council the procedure, and so I just wanted to request from the board, I'd like to change the yes vote for my record to a no vote on the last week's agenda item regarding the probation building and the in regards to the library funding specifically. So I won't take up any time. I understand as long as there's consensus from the board, it's that simple for any board member to be able to have the ability to change their vote. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. So you have the approval of the minutes of April 27th, 2021 with a request to change a vote. We can do this by consensus if the board chooses to. So from the aspect of the board, is there consensus to allow that to occur? Okay, I see there is consensus to do that. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the April 27, 2021 regular meeting with the slight change.
Move to adopt the minutes as amended. Nevs.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley, Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move to item 4, which is the consent calendar. As far as I know, there are no amendments to this. So if there's no changes,
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented, Your Honor.
Okay, we have a motion by Verboen, second by Fagundes. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, we have 5 in favor. Motion carries. We'll move to item 5, which is regular agenda items. And item A is behavioral health. And whoever's presenting from that.
Hi, good morning, Chairman and members of the board. This is Phil Lianos from KCBH. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, like I said, good morning. And Kings County Behavioral Health, in collaboration with the Kings County Mental Health Task Force, is requesting the county to help raise awareness of mental health issues and services by promoting May as Mental Health Matters Month in Kings County. We're recommending that the board adopt a resolution proclaiming the month of May as Mental Health Matters Month in Kings County. There's no fiscal impact to the general fund, and revenues and expenditures for awareness activities are accounted for in fiscal year 2021, Unit 42200, the Mental Health Services Act. Since 2013, the state of California has proclaimed May as Mental Health Matters Month, and the statewide effort was created to generate a greater understanding of mental health issues through each Mind Matters campaign. The goal is to increase awareness, but also to reduce the barriers and stigma associated with individuals seeking mental health treatment and wellness programs to live a longer and healthier life. Through Mental Health Matters Month, Kings County Behavioral Health, in collaboration with Kings Partnership for Prevention, KPFP, and working with the Kings County Mental Health Task Force, will be engaging the community through various methods. Some of those methods are radio ads promoting services, and the monthly campaigns will be aired via iHeartMedia and on different radio stations such as 92.9 La Preciosa, B95, and Power Talk Radio. We're going to have outreach events targeting Spanish-speaking populations at the Hanford Flea Market, sharing of newly designed mental health matters magnets resources to Kings County Mental Health Task Force members to place at their respective sites and share with community members. Sharing of the Take What You Need poster in English and Spanish with county stakeholders to place in their lobbies and homes that emphasizes mental health wellness affirmations. Promote mental health wellness resources with our current support groups such as Sisters Speak, the Veteran Support Group, the Source, and the Family Support Group. And also weekly mindfulness activities created by KPFP that are being shared with community stakeholders via KPFP's vast infrastructure. In collaboration with the Perinatal Mental Health Integration Project, we want to help promote the awareness and resources of maternal mental health to pregnant women, new parents, families, and physicians. And we're hoping that the board adopt this resolution.
Good, thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
I'll move to approve.
Chair, I'll second. And this gentleman, I don't know if he's ever done any radio work, but he has an excellent radio voice. Sound very good.
Thank you, Mr. I appreciate that.
Very good. So we have motion by Verboen, second by Fagundes, beat you by just a second there, but anyways, no worries. All right, Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, we have 5 in favor, motion carries. We'll move to item 5B, which is Department of Finance, and Director Erb.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You can hear me okay, I assume?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Good morning, board. My name is Jim Erb. I'm the Director of Finance for Kings County. I'm here before you with a simple item today of pre-funding the CalPERS unfunded accrued liability. CalPERS has an option at the beginning of each year to pre-fund this. The pre-funding is approximately $14.3 million. And we will be issuing a note to the Treasury pool to do this pre-funding. By pre-funding the unfunded accrued liability, we have approximately 3.5%. We'll issue a note to the Treasury pool of 2%, which is a good return for them because they're averaging about 0.9% right now. So it's a very fair return for them. And we still end up saving about $214,000. So the nice thing about this note is it's very secure. When you approve the budget, the payment of the UAL, the unfunded liability, is in that budget. So for it, it's paid back before June 30th. It doesn't end up in the financial statements, and kind of everybody wins with this. So I'm requesting your authorization to go ahead and issue this note to the Treasury pool and realize the savings that we'll get from pre-funding. Any questions?
Very good. Thank you. Questions from the board?
No, move approval as presented. Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. And Jim, thank you. I think, clearly the cloud hanging over us, long-term is the CalPERS issue, and anything we can do to change that is positive. So with that, Madam Clerk.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Yes.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, we have 5 in favor. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Erb.
Thank you.
And we will move to item 5C, which is the Public Health Department.
Heather Silva will be presenting.
Thank you, Catherine. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Heather Silva with Public Health. Today, I bring forward a request to approve an advanced step hire for a program manager at step 4 for Nicholas Montoya. This position will be the program manager over the epidemiological laboratory capacity enhanced and expansion grants, which requires extensive project management and budget management experience and includes a supervisory role. Mr. Montoya has over 5 years of experience as a staff analyst with Fresno County. He has experience in researching, developing, procuring, implementing, administrating, and evaluating services for Fresno County. The grants that Mr. Montoya will be responsible for have an extensive work plan and require specific timely reporting to the state. Mr. Montoya's experience in project and budget management will benefit the ELC program and the Public Health Department significantly. This request will have no fiscal impact to the general fund. This position and its associated salary was included in the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget and was also included in the spend plans for the enhanced and expansion grant that was approved by your board. This concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you, Heather. Any questions from the board? If not,
Approval.
Second.
we have motion by Fagundes, second by Verboon. Madam Clerk, please call a roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, we have 5 in favor. Motion carries. We will now move to item 5D, which is Public Works, and Dominic Taberski.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Can you hear me okay?
Sir.
All right, very good. So I am before you this morning to request approval of the plans and specifications for the and to authorization to advertise the Kettleman City State Route 41 pedestrian crossing and pathway improvement project. This project is 100% funded through the Active Transportation Program, also known as ATP, which replaced the Safe Routes to School program. The scope of the project is to construct a 6-foot wide asphalt concrete pedestrian pathway on the west side of State Route 41 from General Petroleum Avenue to Edwards, and to provide a pedestrian activated rapid rectangular flashing beacon on both sides of State Route 41 at the existing crosswalk near General Petroleum Avenue. It should be noted that through the efforts of staff and the consultant, this project was originally scheduled to go to construction next fiscal year. PS&E was advanced and completed a year early by petitioning the CTC, and likewise construction was advanced a year by petitioning the CTC a second time once design was complete. The estimated cost of the project is $312,000, with bid opening scheduled for June 11th, and we expect construction to be complete mid-August. So at this point, be happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you. Questions by the board?
Chairman?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Valley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dominic, thanks for continuing your work on this. Excellent. By the way, very much appreciated by the community as well. Dominic, just from being out there recently, could you just talk about the timing on when you hit the button and that light changes in regards to, I mean, let's just be honest, those diesels are speeding. They're going through there very fast. When you're standing there at the crosswalk, it feels even faster. So how much headway would somebody get, you know, as they're coming through there doing 80 miles an hour and some kid hits that button? Can you paint that scenario for us?
Sure, absolutely. That's a great question. Hopefully they're not going 80, although I know that's an enforcement issue. But a few years back, we did install the radar feedback signs, which, you know, let people know how fast they're going. The speed limit is 45 in that area. But as far as the pedestrian activated flashing beacon, it's activated immediately. There also are advanced warning beacons. So the light's not going to be flashing just at the crosswalk. We're going to have advanced beacons, you know, advanced warning beacons, similar to what we did with the Safe Routes to School in Armona. And that gives, you know, drivers a heads up that, you know, the crosswalk down the road is being activated and, you know, somebody's going to be using it. And of course, with lights, with, you know, the painted crosswalks, people definitely need to take caution, because even red lights, sometimes people don't pay attention and run right through them. So there's still going to be the onus on the pedestrian to protect their safety. But we do feel that this is certainly an enhancement of the existing crosswalk.
No, thank you. And then I don't want to lose sight of the fact on the pathway improvements. This is connecting the community to other walk paths. It's going to help and stimulate the exercise and, you know, hopefully the overall health of the community. Can you just remind the public about that? Because I think that's very positive.
Sure, absolutely. You know, we have a number of projects in the works for Kettleman City to finish the build out of the sidewalks that were started with the Safe Routes to School project, you know, a few years back. And, you know, the ultimate goal is to, as you said, have an interconnecting path of, you know, pedestrian pathways. The 6-foot wide asphalt concrete path on State Route 41, which we're constructing now, is one of the precursors, and the future sidewalks will connect to those. The existing sidewalk in General Petroleum will connect at this point. And then as we continue to build out the sidewalks in the community, they will connect to this pathway.
Okay, thank you, Dominic. Mr. Chair, I'm going to save some other information relative to this crosswalk for the next item. But thank you, Dominic. And I do want to let the board know that when I got to Kettleman City on Thursday afternoon, it was at the crosswalk, the sign, just the fence post sign that we have there, letting drivers know that people cross here, that was knocked over, and it was actually in an overgrown patch of grass. And I called Dominic, and I still don't even know if it's even his jurisdiction, but within hours, that signpost went back up. And on behalf of the community, I just want to tell him thank you, and tell him he did a good job in front of the Board of Supervisors. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Right. Any other questions from the board with respect to the item? If not, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, a motion to approve as presented and keep the progress on this, you know, highly needed project going for safety wise.
So we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, we have 5 in favor. Motion carries. We'll now move to item 5E, which is administration.
Thank you,
Oh,
Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, we have one more for Public Works.
Sorry.
We missed one. Okay.
That's okay.
Okay, I thought it was all inclusive. Sorry about that. Go
No
ahead.
problem. All right, so again, before your board this morning to request approval of the plans and specifications and authorization to advertise the fiscal year 2021 SB1 funded Kings County roadway improvement project. This project is 100% funded through the SB1 Senate Bill 1 gas tax and county road fund revenues. The scope of the project is to improve just over 15 miles of roadway utilizing hot mix asphalt on approximately 13 miles, which is collectively on Fargo, Lacey, Excelsior, Houston, 10th and 11th. And the limits of those roadway segments are included in the agenda packet. Additionally, 2.3 miles of type 2 slurry seal will be placed again collectively on 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 6th, and Shaw Place, as well as Home and Orchard. The estimated cost of the project is $4 million. Bid opening is scheduled for June 4th of 2021 with expected completion in August of this year. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, Dominic, Supervisor Peterson, I just question with respect to input costs on products these days. And I know oil is rocketing, and have we seen any impacts with respect to our input costs on, these material costs?
That's a good question. We expect to find out when we advertise both of these upcoming projects. I know on recent projects, particularly the SB 81, obviously, much different animal. It's building construction versus roadway. Those costs were accelerated. I would anticipate, as you mentioned, with the rising cost of oil, that the asphalt and the slurry seal will come in a little bit higher than anticipated. We do have reserves to cover those costs, but this will be the first advertisement that we've had in this new climate. So I would expect them to be a little bit higher, but how much higher remains to be seen.
Thank you. Further questions from the board?
So moved. Second, Mr. Chair.
A motion by Fagundes, second by Neves. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, we have 5 in favor. Motion carries. So now we'll move to
Thank you.
item E. You bet. Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, board members. Rebecca Campbell, County Administrative Officer. Public Works' first item was a good segue into this item, so I think we're ready to go on this one. So last week, administration was reached out to by Paragon Government Relations, letting us know that Senator Feinstein's office is taking non-defense congressional directed spending requests for fiscal year 22 on federal fiscal year. Projects should be infrastructure, purchase equipment, initiate pilot programs, or help local governments provide essential services. The deadline for submission is tomorrow, Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. Paragon Government Relations is recommending that we submit the previously approved projects that your board approved for earmark requests. Those include Public Works Department State Route 41 Pedestrian Bridge Project, from the Fire Department Emergency Operations Center Project, from Community Development Agency Jackson Ranch Project, and from the Sheriff's Department Deputy Sheriff's Body Camera Project. Senator Padilla has not sent his funding requests out yet, but we are anticipating those applications to come out soon. So the request today is to allow our office and Paragon Government Relations to submit those projects that were previously approved. And if there are any other earmark requests, we would ask your authority to submit what was previously approved. And with that, if I could answer any questions.
I have a question. You mentioned May 5th as the end date. Is that just for Senator Feinstein's requests and
That is correct.
all timelines for?
That is correct. That is just the initial application into Senator Feinstein's office.
Okay, thank you.
And my question would be on this project, do we have it, is it like a shovel-ready project? Do we already have the bids and plans on it already, or we just like to have a bridge?
Public Works should be able to come on and answer those questions specifically about the project itself. Dominic, would you be able to answer those questions?
Sure. So as I understand the question, you wanted to know if we have plans ready, if we're shovel ready. Is that correct?
Correct.
No, so this project is in the planning stages. The concept has been around for some time, but we have not had an appropriate funding source that would cover the cost. So this is really a new opportunity for us to be able to fund a project that might otherwise be, lack the or be unfundable, for lack of a better word. So in the interim, we're doing what we can to make the crosswalk, improve the safety by adding the flashing beacons. But at this point, we do not have plans or specifications.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought that some of the you had to have something really ready to start on. Yes, sorry.
The note from Senator Feinstein's office does say that projects should be able to be utilize federal funding immediately upon obligation.
Yeah, we need to have, engineering takes years sometimes on a project like this. Okay. Thank you, Dominic. Thank you, Rebecca.
You're welcome.
Further questions?
Chairman?
Supervisor Rowley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, no, that's a good question, and I appreciate Supervisor Verboen asking that. I did call Dominic the other day when Congressman Valadao issued out his statement as the reason why he is choosing not to send our priority of that pedestrian bridge in Kettleman City up to the committees or whatever the chain of command is, just to be heard by his colleagues to get a yes or a no. We weren't told the day that we voted if there was a requirement for these projects that we were sending to him that he asked for to be shovel ready. And I believe the question was asked and answered prior to the vote, because that's just a no-brainer, position to be in, as Super Verboen pointed out. Those are things that we do need to know. And Dominic, I won't put words in his mouth, but he answered my question, and it lined up with my memory that that was not a requirement. And even today, we're not being told it's a requirement on there. But one of the questions that I have for the CAO is, Rebecca, the email that you sent, do you have any progress on? I believe you said one of the things that Congressman Valadao might be able to be helpful with is our other priority for the sheriff's body cameras. And if you feel that might already be covered, then maybe the board can consider adding another priority project as we're going to Senator Feinstein in Padilla, and instead of us wasting one crucial priority opportunities here. If one's already covered, could you give us an update, please?
Sure, I can tell you what I know. I know that the congressman's office did reach out with some questions regarding funding the project and the sustainability of how that would go in future years. We did tell them that we would certainly try to sustain that in future years. And so I haven't heard anything since except those questions, but I know that they were considering submitting that, but I can follow up to see where they are at with that process.
Thank you. And then I don't know if the sheriff's on, but Mr. Chairman, do you think we can see if Sheriff Robinson has any inside info on that too? And maybe we free up a spot to add to our list again today.
I don't know if Sheriff, if you're, oh, there you are. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Appreciate the time. Just to piggyback on Ms. Campbell's comments, I did also speak with Valadao's representative, and they are going to submit that under one of those criteria, and I apologize because I can't remember exactly which one, whether it was the burn jag or the cops, but the information that Ms. Campbell provided was basically as updated as I had as well.
Okay, so you rather us keep it on the list, Sheriff, for to go to Senator Feinstein and Padilla as well?
You know, as That's up to the board. Obviously, I submitted it because it's an important issue, but, you know, I also see, you know, that the pedestrian bridge in Kettleman City is a super important issue as well. I do feel like the body cameras, you know, is really important to what we've seen across the country. But I also feel like at some point, you know, there'll be some funding for body cameras, regardless if this funding goes through or not, because of the direction that most agencies are going across the country. My goal is to hopefully get the funding any way that we can without using general fund monies, because I believe that this is a national issue, not just a local issue. And so I defer to the board on what they, you know, would like to do here. I'm going to be supportive either way.
Yeah, now I'm not looking to remove it, Sheriff. I was just looking to see if there was enough confidence that we may score the funding through Congressman Valadao and then move on and try to help out one of the other department heads who submitted. But it sounds like that, you know, there's nothing concrete. So I'm very supportive of leaving the project on there and leaving the priorities as is. Thank you, Sheriff, for the information.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
So the question on here, we pick one of these or just submit all three?
Well, we have a list that's developed, right?
We will submit in the priority that the board voted on previously. So the pedestrian bridge first.
Then the Jackson Ranch
And then
Fire Department, emergency.
the fire department second,
And then
the community development agency, Jackson Ranch third, and then the body camera fourth. And we'll work with those offices in what they can do and answer their questions and what they cannot do.
what I understood, it needed to be a ready project today. So if we want something, we need to pick the one that is most ready today. So, or to submit them all three, and which one, everyone's ready, we can get picked, hopefully. I think only two get picked from his, well, Congressman only get one or two get picked from his district. And then I don't know about the center, I guess, same thing.
We're not told yet.
Not told.
Well, I don't think there's any guarantee he's going to get
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's, you
You
submit
need a motion?
based on the value of the project, so.
I need authority to work, to submit these to our delegates as they request them.
So moved.
And Mr. Chairman, I have one more update.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just want the board to know that obviously Kettleman City appreciates the board's support for that pedestrian project. The news coming from Congressman Valadao, you know, was a setback. I mean, I know it's a long shot anyways, but all we're asking him and continue to ask him as a community is to urge him to reconsider his first stance, which was that he wasn't going to send it up. The city of Avenel, I know that's the next topic, but he told Avenel the same thing on their project. And the city council and the city manager, they urged him to reconsider. They put forth an argument. And so I was told 2 days ago that the congressman changed his mind as relative to Avenel's, and he's going to submit theirs. And so I'm glad that, you know, we have the next item before the board to consider. But that being said, that's all that we're trying to do. This is, you know, just give us an opportunity to let Congress or whoever, whatever committee, let them say no. I wouldn't ask the 4 communities that I represent in my district to give me their number one priority to submit to the Board of Supervisors come budget time, and then turn around before budget time, tell Corcoran and Avenel, no, I'm not going to send yours in because of my own, you know, personal judgment or opinion on the project. I would just take it before the Board of Supervisors. And sometimes the board, you know, approves things, and sometimes we just don't get the vote. And that's just the way, you know, the cookie crumbles on that. But that's all we're asking him to do is represent that, send it up. And so the project has a lot of attention. And with that, I'll be going to Sacramento tomorrow with our state lobbyists, members of the Chriscom company, who's lined up a meeting with Assemblymember Salas' chief of staff, who's looking to have an introductory discussion with us on the pedestrian bridge. So in Kettleman City. So I appreciate and want to thank Rebecca Campbell for sending all that information, working with Dominic. And I understand that they got all that to Assemblymember Salas' chief of staff. And so we could be prepared for the meeting tomorrow in Sacramento. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Did I get that?
I'll second, Mr.
Okay. So we have a motion by Verboen, second by Neves. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboen,
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, we have 5 in favor. Motion carries. Now we'll move to item 2 under administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Trailing on Supervisor Valley's comments, this item is a request from the City of Avenal to support their submission to Congressman Valadao for an earmark request regarding a community center project. There's been a lot of activity, as Supervisor Valley talked about, in the last week. And this project would build a community center in the city. Currently, California is one of the lowest counties that has health factors defined as due to physical environment and social economic factors. And this would be an opportunity to improve health outcomes. Currently, there is no public gym or fitness center in Avenal. The closest one would be in Coalinga. With this project request, this would build a community center in Avenal, which would provide a space for fitness activities, wellness program, and other recreational services. It would promote a healthier lifestyle for the residents in the city of Avenal and our county. So I would request that we support this letter of support for the city's request to Congressman Valadao for funding through the federal earmark process. And with that, could I answer any questions?
I guess one, so this was a separate request by Abnell to Congressman Valadao. There was an initial denial and now there's some indication of a reconsideration.
That's what I'm hearing as well. And that's what Supervisor Valley is hearing. Yes.
Okay. And how does that, I mean, okay, well, we'll leave it at that. And then further questions, comments from the board? Supervisor Valley, you have anything?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the presentation by Rebecca.
Okay. And just for informational purposes, Supervisor Verboen has left the meeting. And so with that, again, I just had brain fart. Do we have a motion in a second?
Move to support, Mr. Chair.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Motion by Neves, second by Fagundes. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, we have 4 in favor, motion carries, 1 absent. We'll now move to item 5F, which again is administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a weekly update on the status of the COVID-19 pandemic in Kings County. The last update that was given to your board was on April 27th, so I will go through and tell you what I know about the last week. The legislature and Governor Newsom signed Assembly Bill 80, which is a measure that confirms California tax law to federal tax law to ensure that forgiven Paycheck Protection Program, PPP loans, that businesses received from the federal government during the pandemic will not be counted as taxable income, and that these businesses can also conduct the costs of expenses that the PPP loans paid for. This action comes just prior to the filing deadlines for the federal and state income taxes that are due on May 17th. There was quite a bit of activity on the budget side up at the state level. Assembly Budget Chair Phil Ting released the Assembly's budget blueprint for the fiscal year 21-22, including a number of proposals to restore the state service and invest in priority areas while stimulating the economy. The blueprint notes that the state's significant budget surplus and available federal funds allow new investments to expand opportunities for California most in need. Just a few highlights that pertain to COVID-19 and the pandemic of that Assembly priority spending package includes stabilization and expansion of some critical programs and services, maintaining COVID-19 response, support for working families, and reopening and economic recovery. There is still a process that will come with that as that moves forward on the state legislature. I don't have any federal updates for your board today. Kings County is continuing to take steps to reduce health risk of its employees and the public by adjusting business practices and service deliveries in many of our departments. We did open our lobbies on April 13th, and we are still planning to bring employees back from teleworking and return to work on June 14th. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Director of Public Health, Mr. Edward Hill.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Ed Hill, Public Health. As usual, I'd like to start my report, as I always do, by reminding everyone the simple steps we can take to protect ourselves from communicable diseases such as COVID-19. And those are frequently wash your hands for 20 seconds or more. Don't touch your face with unwashed hands. Stay hydrated with water. A hydrated cell is a healthy cell. Stay home if you're sick, and wear face coverings to protect yourself and loved ones. Our current numbers for the county, we have collected 222,448 samples. We currently have 160 results pending. We are currently monitoring 2,694 individuals. Our current total cases since the outbreak began is at 15,704, unfortunately with 228 deaths. We have 12,784 closed cases, bringing our open cases to 2,692. The skilled nursing facilities and the state prison outbreak have not moved at all. Again, the skilled nursing facilities total cases since the outbreak began is at 311, with 269 closed cases and unfortunately 42 deaths. The current total cases for the state prison outbreak, 7,664 since the outbreak began. They have collected 130,074 samples. They have 30 results pending. Their current open case count is at 0, and their closed cases is at 7,645, unfortunately with 18 deaths. Also, unless there's any objections by your board, I'd like to recommend that we no longer provide this information during this session for future meetings, as this information is available on your website, or excuse me, our website. We do continue to watch hospital data closely. We are seeing a decline in medical surgery med-surg or general admissions locally and regionally, which is a welcome sign, and ICU admissions locally remain 0, and the increase in ICU admissions that we saw regionally has seemed to stabilize, or that we saw last week has seemed to stabilize. As of 5/2, the local hospital had 4 COVID patients in med-surg, our general admission, and 0 in ICU. We continue to maintain that 60-day supply for PPE for all of our healthcare facilities. The mobile testing site program site schedule for this week is on our website, and we still have not heard an update on the possibility of expansion of the testing with municipalities. And the Unified Support Team hasn't really been able to identify any movement as well, so we're assuming that pilot program has been terminated, and we will no longer report on the status unless we hear something change. We continue to deploy our health education team to add additional testing events and register people for vaccines through My Turn. The California Department of Public Health did release new guidance for endurance sporting events. The guidance applies to all organized community endurance and running or walking events. These events are identified as runs, walks, marathons, triathlons, endurance events, and etc. It does not apply to youth or additional or recreational sports. And all the tiers, participants must pre-register. There is no day of event registration. They want the staff to collect and monitor participant and staffing contacts for contact tracing purposes. They're requiring face coverings where appropriate and in line with the current guidelines. Workers must be provided with and wear face coverings. They are recommending limited mixing, obviously. They are requiring in-state participants only. They're also indicating no sharing of drinks or food or snacks for obvious reasons. And then all other aspects need to be followed or follow the appropriate guidelines for food vendors, retail, things along those lines. In the tier system, purple, those events, if the county is in the purple tier, those events are closed. In the red tier, it's limited to 100 participants per hour or a total of 200 participants. If all are tested or vaccinated, it can increase to 500 participants. In the orange tier, It's limited to 200 participants per hour and 500 total. That increases to 1,500 if tested and vaccinated. And then in the yellow tier, it's 500 per hour, a total of 1,500, and it increases to 3,000 if tested and or vaccinated. Our current metrics for the blueprint are our new cases per 100,000 is at 4.2. Our overall testing positivity is at 1.5%, and our testing positivity in the lowest quartile of the Healthy Places Index is at 1.4%. This means all of our, or excuse me, not all of our, but our cases per 100,000 meets orange tier criteria, and our testing positivity still meets yellow tier criteria. Our test per 100,000 remains steady at 430.1 per day. That's an average. And then I need to state that as case counts continue to be low, we will continue and increase our efforts in identification, case management, and isolation of those who are positive. And the reason behind this is as the numbers are low enough, we actually can make a difference as we do case contact tracing and try and identify, get those folks registered in support programs to facilitate isolation to help continue to slow the spread of the virus. On the vaccine update, Public Health administered only 572 vaccines last week. It was a slow week for vaccines, and we have already reached 300 vaccines just yesterday. We're not really sure why it was such a slow week last week. We do anticipate a much busier week this week. We continue to have no visibility into what OptumServe is doing on a daily basis, and we continue to have plenty of available appointments in all of our clinics. As a reminder, we have the ability to provide 700 doses per day. At our request, the state is working to move the OptumServe vaccine site to another county. As a reminder, several weeks ago, we were approached by the state due to the amount of vaccine in inventory, our future allocations, and current throughput. As stated, these calls have been happening across the state as the state looks to reallocate vaccines to areas of higher demand. We still do have a large demand of vaccines on hand, and as a result, we're also moving some of our vaccines, our vaccine inventory to Monterey this week. We will be providing them with a full tray of Pfizer, that's 1,170 doses, and then also a full tray of Moderna, which is 1,000 vaccine doses. Again, as I mentioned last week, this is a strategic move as they have a high migrant farm worker population, and that is one of the populations that's mostly highly impacted by this virus, so we want to make sure that we move those vaccines to an area where it would do the most good. So far, there's been 61,453 vaccines administered to Kings County residents. It is anticipated that Pfizer will soon have emergency use authorization to expand vaccine eligibility to 12 and older population. And given this information, the state and the third-party administrator and counties have begun planning processes to get the Pfizer vaccine into the offices of local pediatricians. This is the most appropriate model to deploy these vaccines, but it comes with some very complicated logistical challenge that we're trying to work out with the state and third-party administrator. By way of a reminder, the Pfizer vaccine must be stored in ultra-low freezers. They also only ship them in quantities of 1,170. So it will be up to us, the local health departments, to split and distribute those allocations and the ancillary supplies to local offices, which will require, again, additional logistical and administrative challenges that we are working through now. On April 24th, 2021, the review of the Johnson & Johnson was concluded by the Western State Scientific Safety Review Group, and on April 23rd, the FDA lifted its pause on the use of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. We have seen the vaccine used, but not in the numbers that were originally distributed. In the past, we have seen, now this is administration by all providers, up to approximately 100 Johnson & Johnson vaccines a day. Now we're only averaging 11 a day. So we're looking to continue to monitor that and see if it increases, as well as continue to share the news about all vaccines and their associated risks, provide additional education as well as marketing through the state and through the county. We have added a vaccine dashboard to our website where you can find up-to-date information on the vaccine statuses in Kings County. And then the third-party administrator released the results of their consumer willingness survey conducted between March 6th and 8th, and the survey was fielded to California residents between the ages of 18 and 84. and the individuals who were already vaccinated were excluded. The biggest takeaways from the survey were that approximately 85% of Californians expressed some interest in receiving the vaccine, yet many were quote unquote cautious and would wait 3 to 12 months for additional clinical data. During the survey period, the number of those interested in receiving the vaccine increased from 46 to 60%, so that was a good swing. And those who were cautious decreased from 42 to 26%. Also a good sign that there is some less hesitancy, but there was a small increase in those who were unlikely to receive the vaccine from 13% to 15%. The top 5 reasons for the quote-unquote caution included concern about the side effects, they want to wait and see how it impacts other people, concerned about the ingredients, saw a report indicated the side effects could be serious, and vaccine development was rushed. The consumer preference for site delivery for the vaccine favors doctors' offices, hospitals, retail pharmacies as the top 3 modes of delivery for the vaccine. And this held true amongst all race and ethnic groups as well as HPI census tracts. Again, this is a reason why we want to really facilitate and help the third-party administrator distribute these vaccines to local doctor offices. Out of all the vaccines, the Pfizer vaccine was a manufacturer preference through the survey as well. The California Department of Public Health also updated their masking guidance and aligned it with the CDC for fully vaccinated individuals. That information is available on their website as well. CDPH also published a new Get the Facts on Vaccine website that we have provided a link to on our site. The site provides vaccine information, great information on frequently asked questions and answers, and is provided in multiple languages. Finally, late last week, we received notice of additional vaccine funding that is available to counties to continue vaccine efforts through the Government Ops Division. The total award for Kings County is $350,000, and I want to let your board know we will be applying for this funding. And there is an aggressive deadline, and the documents indicated that the contract will need to be executed upon review and approval of our plan. Obviously, we will be bringing this contract back to your board for consideration at a future date. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Hill. Further questions by the board?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to take the appropriate time here, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you and Sandy Huddleston and Rebecca Campbell for the time that we all shared yesterday. I requested a meeting last week, and I appreciate you for taking me up on that. And felt good to come back to the county government complex yesterday and sit down and meet. And so I just wanted to kind of wrap up that topic of the conversation from last week on some of the disagreements between how we return back after the year-long pandemic and whether or not the Board of Supervisors should be the one to give that final stamp of approval. And so what I did get out of the meeting yesterday is that I at least understand where you're coming from and where Rebecca was coming from. And as we said yesterday, we might still not agree, but it does help for the overall good of the county that, when leaders such as us at least get the opportunity to talk and understand each other. And I think moving forward on, on some of these issues, that's going to be beneficial on there. At least that's my stance on it. So again, thank you. And Mr. Chair, I know that the board right now doesn't seem to doesn't have the appetite for the study session. I still, I'll just leave that on the table, asking that the board at some point reconsider, not for Supervisor Richard Valley, but just for the overall good of the county and the overall safety of our county employees when they return. And I know many of them are looking forward to returning, and I'm looking forward to all that as well, just on the safety side. So, Mr. Chairman, just so we could wrap that up, I just wanted to, just for the public and for all of us to just know then, if the board is not going to hear a plan publicly and then vote or add amendments to the plan. Then as it stands right now, with Sandy Huddleston and Rebecca Campbell, working, and I appreciate that work, at least to get us where we're at there. And I appreciate learning a little bit more about that plan yesterday, but it's still kind of open to me as well. But so if nothing changes and the board doesn't look to take that spot to give the final approval, who is ultimately going to be responsible then as far as it relates to when they come back? And we want everyone to be safe. I know everyone wants that, but the reality is no one has been able to get a grip on COVID as far as things are finally going to go our way. That virus seems to have a way of coming back around and scoring another knockout punch on all of us. So the worst case scenario is that we come back, something happens to one of us or one of the county employees, COVID related, worst case scenario. So then who is ultimately responsible, Mr. Chairman? Is it Sandy Huddleston or is it the CAO? Because as I understand it right now, it's can't be the department heads and it's not the Board of Supervisors. So I'll be happy just closing on that, Mr. Chairman.
Can you define your thought process of who's responsible? I think it's a little broad there with respect to what you're asking.
Yeah, I think, and you're right, because I'm just being general. I'm not trying to be negative. I just wanted, obviously the board's not the one who's going to vote up or down on a return plan. So somebody, has to take the responsibility. And I guess to try to answer your question, I don't mean the responsibility that if something happened, worst case scenario, that someone's going to get punished. I'm saying that like from leadership, if something happened, the board, if we had the study session and we approved the plan, if something happened, as a leader, I would say, hey, I take full responsibility for that. That's where I'm coming from, Mr. Chairman, and not in the negative light, just for full transparency for public. That's it. That's all.
Well, yeah, and I think, in the meeting, I'll agree with you. I think we had a good meeting yesterday, but for me, I think it was pretty clear defined on the steps that the county has taken to provide a healthy workplace, a safe workplace, and also acknowledging that there are many that for whatever reason, be it their age or otherwise, aren't willing to take the vaccination, and that assumes some personal responsibility as well. But I was really comfortable with the information provided yesterday with respect to the in-depth nature of how how complex the issue is and how much thought has went into this process and making sure. But life is not guaranteed, and neither is the opportunity to get COVID either here or outside of the county property. So with that, I don't know, Ms. Campbell, if you would like to address this or not, but I think you were pretty open and honest about the process yesterday, and Sandy as well, and so.
No, I would mimic your comments, Mr. Chair. I want to say thank you to you and to Supervisor Valley and to Sandy Huddleston for your time yesterday. I thought it was also a productive meeting. I want to thank all the department heads for meeting with our risk manager, Sandy Huddleston, and going through to address all of the safety concerns with bringing employees back. Again, it'll be something that it is a transition, and we will be watching to see how it goes. And, right now our case rates are very low within the county. We haven't had a case since March. So we're hoping that as we bring employees back, and we've already brought, some employees back, it'll continue like that with all the precautions that we have taken. So I would just say thank you to everyone involved, and thank you to the department heads out there for working towards this goal.
Yeah, it was a 2-hour meeting. I want everyone to know it was a 2-hour meeting, and it was the conversation was taken very seriously by everyone, and it is appreciative. I was just wondering if there was any kind of a sign off, any documentation, anything. I learned Sandy has a lot of involvement in this, so I don't know if there was any documentation signed off by her or the CAO on the plan. I just feel, Mr. Chairman, not looking to blame anyone. I just feel that ultimately someone needs to sign off on a return back to work plan post pandemic. That's all I was asking for.
Yeah, no, county council has some comments as well. But I would just say that, that's the reason our administration is here, to work together to, provide and work through that safe workplace issue. But with respect to one other issue as well, you talked a little bit about the return, and I think the return of possible, is it a new strain of the virus or whatever? But as we talked about yesterday, I think we have a good roadmap as to, if something occurs in a specific department. We've done this drill, and so, I think there is, a very good plan in place to address that. But with that, Madam Council, you have some comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to point out for the supervisor's benefit that the County Code of Ordinances provides a very clear delegation of authority and responsibility regarding the county administrative officer. Particularly Section 2-27 provides that the county administrative officer shall be the chief administrative officer of the county and shall be responsible to the Board of Supervisors for the proper and efficient administration of all county offices, departments, institutions, advisory agencies, and special districts under the board's jurisdiction. Specifically related to COVID and the management of those departments, Section 2-28 sub 11 provides that the county administrative officer shall review and make recommendations on risk management and proper level of insurance coverage. So the way the county's code is set up is that unless the board provides a different direction to the county administrative officer, it has delegated those responsibilities to her. So to the extent the board would want to override her decision because she does report to the board, it would need to agendize that matter, and a majority vote could override any decision that she makes regarding county administration.
Thank you, Council. And I'm not asking for that, Mr. Chairman. I asked for that last week. I'm not going to put the board through that or take up the time today. It is what it is. It sounds like if I heard Council right, she answered the question, and that the responsibility is of to the CAO, and that's where we're at. That's where we're at. So. It's out there. Thanks again. I do want to end by saying thank you publicly. Thank you for your time yesterday.
Yes, thank you. Okay, let's see. That was just the update. So at this point, I don't believe there's any action required. With that, we'll move to item 6, which is a study session from the Human Services Agency.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, Sonia Bouguet, Human Services Agency. And with me today is Brandon Moreno and Anton Gonzalez to present an overview of General Relief Program. And we're doing this from 2 different offices. Our presentation will be an overview of the program and recommendations for some changes. We're going to try to keep it fairly high level, but at any point in time, or waiting till the end, we can answer questions in detail. With this presentation, we included a detailed regulations related to the General Relief Program as well as the PowerPoint. This item today is only a study session. We will be back with the actual resolution for your board to adopt. It has been a number of years since we've actually been in front of your board with general relief or general assistance program regulations. And there are several things that have prompted this. More specifically, our CalSAWS system for eligibility for all of our programs is going into implementation in the fall. And we needed to take this in order to facilitate that for our general relief program. In addition to that, our standard of aid that has been previously set by our board has some ambiguity to it. It has over the years worked for us, but as we've reviewed program regulations, having some clearer standards will be helpful, specifically delinking general relief from other programs. And then finally, a grocery store chain that we have utilized for a number of years for food portion of this aid actually no longer wants to do the administrative work related to this program. And when we looked into this issue, if we utilize our EBT cards for all GA benefits, it will actually eliminate the need to address it. So with that, in order to come up with these regulations, we have reviewed Welfare Institutions Code that has requirements for general assistance and general relief program. We've also looked at previous board resolution, our policy and procedures and long-standing practices. We've looked at the issues that have risen through administrative law judge reviews when clients appeal the decisions on aid, as well as any lawsuits and public records requests that have occurred in other surrounding counties and our own PRA requests. So with that, all of that work that Brandon Marina from our office led with a group of staff resulted in the recommendations that are bringing before you today. And then finally, while a number of our staff worked on this, County Counsel's office actively helped and participated, and I really want to thank them for that support and review and participation on this effort. So with that, Brandon will walk you through the presentation. As I said, we're going to try to stay fairly high level. There's a lot of detail to it, and we're going to review pertinent ones, and we can certainly come back an additional time and we'll come back within a few weeks with the actual recommendations for approval. Brandon, go ahead.
Morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This is Brandon Marino from the Human Services Agency. So we're going to get our slide show presented. And with this brief overview, we'll be providing information on the current processes, as well as some recommendations of updates and changes that are needed to provide clarification on eligibility requirements and also improve the processes and administration of the program. So as we look at our, are you able to see our program?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So as we look at our second slide, California Welfare and Institution Code 17,000 mandates each county to provide a general assistance or a general relief program and to adopt standard of aid to care for the indigent and dependent poor. Those are ones that are unable to provide for their own needs, unable to qualify for state or federal public cash assistance program. So the general assistance or GA program is funded solely by local county revenue. It's a loan program. Any monies that are paid out really should be paid back. The program is administered promptly, humanely, without discrimination. It's designed to be a short-term program to encourage self-reliance, self-sufficiency with the goal of an individual being able to return to work. So there's two different types of general assistance benefits that can be applied for. The first is general assistance for job seekers. The second is interim assistance. For job seekers, that's where a person is an unemployed applicant, and they can be eligible for up to 3 months in a 12-month period while they're searching for work. An interim assistance person is a disabled applicant that has applied for Social Security office for SSI or SSP benefits based on that disability. So while that application is pending or while it's in an appeal status, they're potentially eligible to receive GA until the decision is made on their case. And as a reminder, SSI is the supplemental security income and state supplemental payment. So the Human Services Agency has been administering the GA program for decades now. We even found handwritten county rules and procedures from 1957. But the most current authorization was in 1989 with the board's resolution 89087, authorizing the current application, the rights and responsibilities, and adopted the personal needs market survey that was done at that time. So individuals that are wanting to apply for GA can complete an application in person or over the phone. It's currently a manual program where all benefits are issued manually and not through our current automated system. And currently, the application packet consists of a number of forms, as you can see on this slide. And once that information has been gathered, there's other forms that have to be collected, including reimbursement and lien forms, an IRS W-9 form completed by landlords if the applicant is getting rental assistance, as well as the SSP-14. And that's the authorization for reimbursement of interim assistance, initial claim, or post-eligibility case form. And that form allows us to collect any paid GA benefits from Social Security Administration if the client is approved for SSI and SSP. We have to conduct interviews to determine eligibility to the program, needing to receive verification of residency, any earned or unearned income, as well as any property that an individual may have. We also have to verify any shelter expenses and utility bills that they may have if they're requesting assistance with those, as well as job search forms that have to be turned in monthly for a person to be able to continue to qualify for aid. And for those that are with the pending SSI or SSP application that may be in appeal status, we also have to have continued verification of what that status of that application is. So per resolution 89087, individuals who agree to continue with the application may be eligible to the following benefits. The first is rental assistance, and for one individual, it can't exceed $175. For two, it can't exceed $225. Those payments are made directly to a landlord or homeowner. Food vouchers not to exceed the AFDC in-kind food allowance, one $15 personal needs voucher, which currently is redeemed as a Walmart debit card for $15, and up to 20 cart ride tickets. Currently, we provide a monthly cart pass for transportation, and then as well as providing any utility assistance. You'll note, though, that a person can also apply and receive other public benefits like CalFresh or food stamp benefits and Medi-Cal along with general assistance, but recipients of CalWorks or Cash Aid are not eligible to GA. And a person or applicant can choose which benefits they would like to receive depending on their need. But since GA is a manual process outside of our automated eligibility system, the approval and issuance of benefits is very, very time intensive. Not going to read through this whole process, but you can see there's a lot of creating of forms, approving of forms, mailing to clients, then redeeming that has to be done, involving a number of staff, from eligibility workers to eligibility supervisors to office assistants to fiscal staff. And for the food vouchers, as noted in the last bullet, those redeemed vouchers are returned to our agency, and each itemized receipt has to be checked, ensuring that only approved purchases were made. Again, very time-intensive manual process for the staff involved. Here we see a quick snapshot of Valley counties in the area and their GA program grants, ranging from $370 to $245. And it's also important to note that 41 out of 58 counties here in California issue GA benefits via electronic benefit cards, transfer cards, or EBT cards, not just warrants and vouchers like we currently do. Here's a spreadsheet of our county's caseload since July of 2018 through February of 2021. And as you can see on the spreadsheet, the monthly applications taken range anywhere from 20 to 60 a month. The ongoing cases range anywhere from 72 in October of 2018 to where we currently are in the mid-20s. And you'll also note on this slide that the average monthly expenditures for 2019 and 2020 was a little over $11,000 per month. So our agency, along with county councils, made a comprehensive assessment of our existing program, and the recommendations that have been made to adjust and clarify eligibility requirements and to adopt this current standard of aid will improve eligibility and administrative efficiencies and functions. And this also includes updating standards and procedures documents so that it'll be in a format that would show regulations that would be helpful as we cite program rules in our notices as well as in our hearing processes. And making these updates will also help to close some of the loopholes that are vague in our current rules. And as Sonia mentioned, HSA and County Council review General Assistance Public Record Acts requests through the state, as well as case studies and lawsuits that have been filed in other counties. And HSA is also represented on a state General Assistance Committee that shares best practices and lessons learned. So one change would be included to change or to start using HSA's existing automated eligibility system that's used for other eligibility benefit programs, and to issue general assistance payments once per month using electronic benefit transfer or EBT cards. That again would considerably decrease the manual work and processes done by staff. Using an automated system would reduce administrative costs and errors, improve record keeping, and reduce the potential for fraud. The nice thing is this functionality is immediately available as it's already part of our department's automated system. So some updates recommended for the application process are noted on our next slide, including streamlining and simplifying the application packet. We've established an minimum age to apply, removing the need for a lien form in applications as we don't really see a whole lot of liens or haven't seen any liens. Adjusting the application timeframe from 45 days to 30 days. That aligns with the CalFresh program that our clients will be applying for as well. And updating our notice requirements from 7 to 10 days to align with other assistance programs. We've had many lessons learned from other counties and our own fair hearings processes to clarify the appeals and other procedures. Some of these would also add accountability for the department to make sure that we take actions within timeframes that we would apply. Some recommendations to eligibility determinations include making changes to property limits, adding clarification about residency and penal medical institutions, and also adding verbiage that if general assistance benefits are received in another county, that an applicant cannot receive an additional 3 months of aid in our county, that aid in other counties would count towards their 3 months of aid in a 12-month period. That would help to eliminate county hopping general assistance applicants. We also added that benefit payments would be made on an EBT card, which most clients would already have as recipients of the CalFresh program. And we would also, though, be able to reserve the right to issue vendor payments if we felt it would be necessary. But again, issuing via EBT saves a considerable amount of administrative time. And as a benefit to clients, they're no longer having to purchase items at a specific location, as current vouchers for food are only at one grocery store. Personal needs gift cards are only at one specific store, and that's Walmart at this time. Also, it would be beneficial to clients that live in the county outside the city of Hanford. They'd be able to use the benefits at any store that accepts EBT. And this also helps with mail issues that are experienced by homeless clients trying to get those vouchers mailed to them, received, and then redeemed back by our office. So this is a chart comparing the current benefits issued versus a new recommended standard of aid needing to be approved by your board. Currently, individual vouchers are issued for each different type of need. If we issue aid by EBT card, that provides monies intended for that need, and it would be up to the client to spend those funds on their needs. The client would again still have the option to select which needs they're requiring, as some may opt out of a particular need if they don't have it, or if they don't want to have to pay those GA benefits back for that particular need. That $325 really is more in line with the average of surrounding Valley counties, as noted on slide 10, and would establish a clear dollar amount. Using our existing automated system, that also would allow the department to have better tracking and collection of recoupments, reimbursements, and so we've added verbiage to clarify client responsibility of recoupments and adjusting methods with the goal of the recovery of those monies that were issued to them. Another important addition was the inclusion of denial and discontinuance rules for an applicant or recipient if they attempt to commit fraud or misuse benefits, including the misuse of EBT cards. And this is something that currently is not addressed in our current standards and procedures. This time I'll turn it back over to Simon.
So, well, I wanted to give you a chance to ask us any questions. Our intent is to the next couple of weeks bring back the resolution to basically adopt the updated general assistance standards and procedures. While the overall average aid that we're presenting would go down from 382 to 325, the flexibility is a trade-off. It would also address the number of issues that we have encountered over past number of years when it comes to administering of this program. So with that, I'm going to ask your board for any questions or clarifications that we can provide, any additional directions when it comes to giving you more detail regarding this program before we come back with the final resolutions.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. We have questions from the board, and it would also be helpful if you would take down your presentation so I can see who's out there.
Brandon, can you? Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Questions from the board? I have a couple. You know, one thing, it's this code 17,000 is you know, a very wide, broad program with a lot of power with respect to you know, what's asked of the county. Just in general terms with respect to that code, you know, I mean, obviously we've had a lot of homeless funding, you know, almost a veritable smorgasbord of programs that have funded all of the challenges that we've went through recently and been highlighted by COVID. But, you know, with respect to county budgeting and things, I mean, from your view, I mean, where is the limitation? I mean, as to how much can be drawn, you know, on a program like this out of the county general fund? And just, you know, it seems to kind of step over the county budgeting process and really highlight, you know, specifically you, I guess, as a director, that you have some pretty broad authority in administering this program.
So it is really your board that has the general relief is the only program our agency administers where the county board of supervisors is actually setting rules and regulations. How the regulations were set in 1989, you actually did give me pretty broad discretion, and how we've administered a program was within those regulations. What we brought back would in some ways restrict the department somewhat. However, it does provide some clarity so individual workers as they administer this program have some clearer parameters on how to issue aid. I do want to address the homeless population specifically. So general relief program is not specifically for homeless clients. Homeless clients tend to be more just economically destitute, and general relief is aid for any individual that does not qualify for other state and federal programs. But our clients on general relief are both housed and unhoused. So it's not only a program for homeless. I will say that how we've administered homeless programs in our county is in such a way that it has actually, over the past year, had an impact of reducing our general relief costs. So we have made, and this isn't just our county, it is not done in every county, but in a number of counties it has. But for example, for Project Roomkey, if individuals who are homeless were sheltered in Project Roomkey and therefore were provided shelter, which is housing and food, they were in our county automatically not eligible for general relief. So in this past year of the pandemic, if I look at the past 5 years, it has been the lowest year of our general relief caseload. I do think it has made this caseload artificially low because we've sheltered people who otherwise may have, they do not necessarily apply for general relief, but if they would have and they weren't sheltered, they would have been eligible. So how we've administered our other programs that are funded by state and federal revenues, we've done it intentionally to minimize the impact on general fund. In some ways, the regulations we're proposing clarify some of these things. The other piece that's significant for general relief program that we have seen with a number of counties is when regulations were established, there was a lot of linkage to CalWORKs, or pre-96 it was called AFDC, aid to families with dependent children programs. So a lot of counties made that linkage. If you look at in our earlier slide, so did we, for example, for food assistance, as opposed to setting a specific dollar amount related to food assistance, we said, well, it will be this piece related to AFDC. And over the years, that amount has grown. which is not bad. However, as the state has changed CalWORK's program, it had this inadvertent impact of also changing our general relief. In some counties, they have linked their programs so much that when the aid for CalWORKs was increasing to get to a point of 50% federal poverty level, that had an impact on general relief. Our program was a lot. It wasn't linked intentionally. It was only linked at a couple of places. So we're trying to clean up our regulations to say the dollar amounts are set. It's a specific county program. We were delinking it from CalWORKs or any other programs. In some ways, that really sets up and gives us a little bit more control on how we administer this program. It has been a couple of decades since we've been before your board. It probably, I mean, I don't want to make this so detailed that we're in front of you every few months. On the other hand, it probably should be more frequent than that. I do believe that some of the other opportunities that we have had in other programs have actually had a positive impact of not spending general fund, because we've said, well, if we can help individuals with SSI, with any other program, it actually limits the general relief. To me, that's a dual benefit. Our general relief aid is fairly low, and it's not an amount of income that anybody can live on for a long period of time, but it also has the impact of reducing our costs to general fund, which is always scarce.
Thank you. I always appreciate the, the collaborative way in which, we've worked together in addressing the issue but it's just one of those questions that as, a small county that really, struggles to fund programs and then, to have, a number, maybe an unknown number out there that, is maybe required at some point in the way things flow, and just making sure that we're always prepared for, some of those costs that come from issues like this. It's questions I have. Further questions from the board? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions. Thank you for the presentation. And at this time, we will go ahead.
We have no actions today. We will be back to your board with the final resolutions.
Okay, thank you for that. And so at this time, let's see, we'll move to board member announcements. And so we'll start with Supervisor Valley.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only thing I have is I did get an update during the meeting that Assemblymember Salas is going to be present for the meeting tomorrow in Sacramento. So we can get a preliminary discussion going on possible funding from the state side for that Kelman City pedestrian bridge. So just another line in the water. I think that's worth the time to, take the 24 hours, go up there and go make some moves. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Right, thank you. Supervisor Neves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kings Waste and Recycling had their monthly meeting, received the monthly information, including tonnage and commodity sales and financial information. Also waived the tipping fees for the Kings River Conservation District. They had a cleanup project to which they received a grant, but unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, the trash exceeded the amount of the grant, and so they needed a little bit of help by about $3,500 to finish that project. So we went ahead and granted that expansion of that project. At the CART meeting, Executive Director to apply for funding 5311 and the Federal Transportation Act funding to assist with future operations. Also opened the public hearing for service changes and modifications to routes. As you can imagine, COVID has changed the traffic patterns of many people using public assistance, and we're trying to evolve and meet the needs of today's consumers and patrons. And that public hearing was continued and will be closed on May 26th. We also approved the electric bus plan and received updates on the seasonal bus pass. Has been kind of adopted and talked a little bit about today. That seasonal pass is helping many people ride the bus in a more economical fashion. And then we also had a closed session when we're dealing with labor negotiations in that organization as well. At the Kings County Association of Governments, we also had an unmet transit need public hearing there, and it was also continued to May 26th. We also approved some of the funding projects and adopted the 2021-2022 budget and overall work program for that organization in the coming fiscal year. We also talked about the transit development plan and was approved and moving forward. And also voiced our concerns again about the 2020 census and the adjustments to the urban area restrictions and how that may affect operations in the future. And once again, we adjourned into closed session and talked about staffing and negotiations. On a personal note, continue to volunteer a little more high and in the baseball, softball programs. And there is some planning for sober grad. So we're starting to have a few meetings and start talking about how the class of 2021 will celebrate its graduation. Also had the opportunity to visit Avenal during Old Timers Day. They moved the facility, all of the activities out to the sports complex when lots of activities, horseshoeing, horseshoe throwing, as well as bean bags and volleyball and cornhole and everything else. So a lot of food, a lot of softball games going on. And then went back on Sunday and went through the Tar Canyon area. I'd been through there through a couple of college projects, but it'd been
Also like 100 years ago.
yeah, like 45 years ago. First time for Kathy. I don't know what she thought she was going to see, but if you're interested in rocks and tar and a lot of the geological things that are back in that part of the world, it was interesting. If you're not, there's not a whole lot to look at. So, you know, I think she's glad she went. I'm not sure she'll do it again, but she did go this time, and there is a lot of history, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of things going back there. Certainly want to thank Jim and Cheryl Tuttle, who kind of led the caravan of about 20 cars and stopped at 2 or 3 different locations and talked about the different geology in that area. And then on Saturday night, the Hanford food truck and entertainment continues down in the Civic Center, first Saturday of each month. Very well attended. Unfortunately, the food was a little bit of a handicap. There's plenty of restaurants around that I think capitalized on that, but the food truck attendance was a little bit off. And the Thursday night market will start its season this Thursday. So with that, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Q. Supervisor for goodness.
Yeah, there's a lot of organizations this last week have called, and they're like the fair's coming up, the auction, and they got a lot of questions on how they're gonna do this auction. And so I think we need to talk to Ed Hill and decide what we're gonna do on that, and any more a little further.
Very good, thank you.
With that, I spoke with Ed yesterday and put him in touch with Jerome Coelho, and Jerome submitted an application for what his intentions are for the online auction, and Ed was going to call him back and go through what we need to do and not need to do. I think he's in good shape.
Yeah, and really, you know, with sober grad and all of the other things going on, we probably should have a little bit of guidelines or a little bit of knowledge of what is going to be expected and what's going to have to change, because we're not going to go back to a COVID era. And we're going to probably have to change some of those policies and procedures that were in place in the past.
Yep, online auction, but the cows have to be there and the people have to be there. So they have to have guidelines of distance and face mask wearing, whatever's in play at the time. Also a state agency, they have to follow extra guidelines more than we do. So that did that yesterday. So thank you. Appreciate that. For myself, like I said, I attended Steve Driver's funeral on Friday. I also spent last week doing a declaration of myself for a hearing. I'm going to be a speaker at a hearing in June. So I had to do a resume and a declaration on that. That took a couple of days because it was all about bragging about yourself, which was kind of hard to do. I also went to the food truck showdown and 1,500 people or more. Everybody kept a distance, had a good time. Some wore masks, some didn't. I think people were ready to get out and spread their wings and enjoy life. When the weather's nice like that, it's hard to keep people closed inside. The restaurants are doing good with outdoor dining. I know for myself, I put in 48 chairs outside and tables, and people are starting to like it, so it's good. That's all I got. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. And as you've heard, Supervisor Verboen has rejoined the meeting. And for myself, boy, it was a busy week last week, but I don't have a lot to report. Other than we did do a press conference requesting the governor to make a drought declaration both for the Central Valley and the state. It was a good day. Very bipartisan, representation across the board from counties, from the Senate, from the Assembly. And, everybody just spoke to the issue. It wasn't about anything partisan. It was about the needs of our communities and just recognizing the challenges that basically a zero allocation, even though it says 5, but it's actually 0, presents to, farming communities across, this southern portion of the state. And hopefully at some point we'll hear something back with respect to those efforts. And with that, we will move to board correspondence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's one item in correspondence from Safety Belt Safe USA, a proclamation for Safety Seat Checkup Week, which is May 15th through the 22nd of 2021. Upcoming meetings and events. As a reminder, the Peace Officers Memorial will be on May 12th at 10 a.m. in the Kings County Government Center courtyard. Tickets will be required to attend. The Pandemic Relief Funding Program is today, and that will be a virtual event via WebEx at 3:30 p.m. Upcoming agenda items next week, a number of items. We'll have a COVID-19 update from Community Development. There'll be a density bonus development agreement with Aspire Homes California, Inc. for Phase 5 of vesting tentative track number 756. From the District Attorney's Office, a victim witness program position request. From the Health Department, amending code section 2-40 of the Ordinance Code regarding the First 5 program. From Public Works, National Public Works Week, which is May 16th through 22nd of 2021. Human Services Agency has a number of items coming next week. That includes the Intelligy Corporation for consulting services, a purchase of some laptops, in-home supported services, public authority, fiscal year 2021 budget adjustment, and also a resolution regarding the General Assistance Program as stated during their study session today. In a couple of weeks, we will see from Information Technology, the Cherry Road contract renewal. We'll also have from the Ag Commissioner an amendment with the state for the county's noxious weed program. And that's all I have for upcoming items. Thank you.
What was the date for the Peace Officer Memorial again?
12.
May 12th at 10 a.m.
May 12th, and you need to have tickets?
That's what I'm told, yes.
And where do you get tickets at?
Our office knows. We can get that information for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'd like a ticket as well. Thank you.
So I have 3 and we'll check it with the others to see if we need to get any more. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. So we have moved to item 8, which is closed session. And today would be conference with labor negotiator, government code section 54957.6. And it looks like just about every bargaining unit we have is on the list today. And so, Madam Counsel, do you expect any reporting out today?
We do not. Thank you.
Very good. So before we move to closed session, just one other announcement. We will have our regularly scheduled California Public Finance Authority meeting starting at 11 a.m. this morning. And with that, we will probably take up the California Public Finance Authority at 11 o'clock and then move back to closed session at that time. So with that, we will adjourn to the next regularly scheduled meeting, which is Tuesday, May 11th, 2021 at 9 a.m. Thank you. All right, very good. It is May 4th, 2021, and it's 11 o'clock, time for the monthly meeting of the California Public Finance Authority. Would you please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Here.
Richard Valley.
Here.
Doug Verboon.
Here.
Craig Peterson.
Here.
Richard Fagundes.
Here.
Okay, we have 5 present. Item 2 is approval of the minutes from April 27th, 2021 regular meeting.
Move is presented, Your Honor.
Nev's the second.
I grant thee. Okay, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Here. I mean,
Doug
yes.
Verboon.
Here, yes.
Craig Peterson. Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, we have 5 in favor. On to item 3A, which is the consent calendar. Any questions, comments?
I move the consent calendar is presented.
Nev seconds.
Okay, we got a motion and second. Please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Yeah, 5 in favor. That, we'll move to public comment. Any person may directly address the board at this time on any item on the agenda or any other items of interest to the public that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. 5 minutes are allowed for each item. Do we have any public comment?
I have no written or anyone with their hand raised.
All right. This time we will move to item 5, which is staff updates. And looks like we have Caitlin online. Caitlin, do you have anything for us today?
Hi, good afternoon. No staff updates for today.
Okie dokie. All right, well, we've reached item 6, which is adjournment. So thank you all, and meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.